So we have a special guest today, Miss Rosie Musser. She is our deep tissue release practitioner here in the office. So she does, you explain it because I never explained what you do, right?
I do deep tissue release and cranial sacral therapy.
And how do you do it?
With a percussor. Partly. I don't do a cranial with a percussor. That would be a bad thing.
So she does really cool things like lifting out your neck and all kinds of cool things. So when we were teaching pain, of course, like I'm going to get the lady who probably sees the most people in pain in our office to come and help. So she's going to be helping with some of this too. So now with pain, one of the things I wanted people to understand is you can only have pain if you have inflammation. Okay, if you don't have inflammation, you can't have pain. So we're actually going to be talking about inflammation and not pain as we're going through this, because you can have like one of the big causes that we see is like injuries, right? Like we fell or we were in sports and we did damage, or we were in a car wreck, things like that. And we see this in the office all the time. When you pull the inflammation out of the body, that body part can still be damaged, right?
Well, it can have repercussions.
Yeah, but if there's if you remove the inflammation, there will be no pain. So does that make sense? Like you can't have pain unless you have inflammation. So if you can remove the inflammation, you can remove the pain.
That's because inflammation is the natural body's response to pain.
Yeah. We'll tell them that.
It's basically it's when you're hurt, then your body sends all of its little people like an army, have all their little people on horses or whatever, and just like something's hurt, and so it just sends them all, and so that's why things get swollen and big, and that's why anything, even other things that are more medical problems like anaphylaxis, that's why they get so much inflammation and so much, because they don't know what's wrong. It's just like, we need help. And so that's why when you get sprains and stuff, those will actually get swollen a lot more than like a broken thing. Sometimes it depends, but those can get swollen a lot more because it's actually involving a lot more complex things that take more energy, if that makes sense, to heal itself. And it takes longer actually to heal muscle injuries. It takes longer than the 6 weeks for a broken bone.
Cool. See why I brought her on? Y'all see? Okay, so one of the most common things, especially what she sees, is probably injury, right? So for me, I see a lot of pain from like food sensitivities and toxicities. So we don't normally think of like food, but food can cause a lot of pain. Everyone who's done classes, like we did that headache class where we had my daughter, food caused her headaches, her migraines. So yeah, food is always one. Also, I see a lot with toxicity. So look at somebody who has like arthritis. Arthritis is toxins being trapped in the joint, so we need to we see that kind of pain from a toxicity. So we're going to talk about some of the things that you can do to help minimize like inflammation, minimize pain. We're going to talk some symptom management, but we're also going to talk like some root cause management too.
One other thing I wanted to point out is your body cannot cry when it's hurt. It can't scream. And so people are like, well, we just want to get rid of the pain. And it's like, if you don't get rid of the problem, you're not really going to get rid of the pain, because there's something wrong. There's a reason why it's happening. The pain's not just there just to hang out and have a good time,
Well, it's like, you're always telling me, like, so people who come in and you're trying to help them, if they don't remove whatever the pain is, it's causing the pain, they just, the minute they leave, like 2 days later, it's right back after all you did all that work. Same with like chiropractor, when you go get it adjusted and then, you pop right back. So what are some of the common pains that like Rosie really sees a lot, like in the body,
I see a lot of joint stuff, neck, back stuff. I see the arthritis thing that she was talking about. I've seen people with a lot of sciatic stuff, hip stuff. I've had even I've had tailbone injuries, and headaches is a big one with the upper neck, because most people carry their stress either in their shoulders or their neck. Generally, everybody has one. Sometimes it's both, but it just depends. There's so many ways that it's amazing to me, and that's what I've learned from all the years I ran ambulance, any of that, is how much the body can actually take and adapt before it actually screams. And like, okay, enough's enough. We need help.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, both her and I see a lot of migraine, headache, and there's a whole class on the website that gives you all the ins and outs that anyone can go and access under resources specific to headache. So I don't think we're going to spend a lot of time on that one, but Rosie's got like some amazing different like exercises. We've got some tools that you can add in, things like that, and those are the things we're going to be kind of talking about. So like for like joint pain, like what are some of the things that maybe we could recommend for like joint pain?
For joint pain, you gotta obviously find out what the problem is, and that's everybody's individual. I don't treat one knee the same, and even one person with the two knees, they can be totally different problems on each knee. So it totally depends. Sometimes I've seen issues with by the femur, the muscles that surround that group, or the ones in by your tib and fib, and your leg. I've seen so many different things that factor in, and it can be those, or it could actually be like the kneecap. It could be a lot of different things, and so it's figuring out each person, and so every treatment I do is never going to be the same. And so a lot of times, I mean, ask you guys, is every treatment exactly the same? And so I try to just go along and go to how each person is responding. And so one time they might need more of this. One time they might need more of that. So I just try to do what their body's asking for at the moment.
Okay. So for me, for my joint pain, what I typically see is more the toxicity buildup, in the joints. Also like a loss of collagen, and so after we turn 30, especially women, we just stop making all that wonderful collagen. So we need to do something to rebuild that. But like with joints, I really do, we do detoxification, things like that. Also, I might recommend stretching to people, depending on what you're working on, like yoga, things like that. I find yoga is a great pain management kind of exercise. Not the crazy yoga, but like the just normal yoga.
Well, and we're also going to be introducing that laser.
Yeah. Oh, and yeah, one of the things that we do in the office, Rosie and Rosie has been doing her training and is going to be offering this. I do offer this, but we're all going to go Rosie now because nobody wants me to work on them with laser. But some of the things that you can do if you have joint pain is we use like red light therapy. It's the most affordable option. Okay. I used to be able to get these. These were fairly inexpensive. I can no longer get these. And this is not like my area, like I don't build lasers. So I can't really tell you what's a very good one. These were ones that were vetted by other naturopaths, so I had that trust from those other naturopaths. Red light therapy devices, you can pick them up for like $10 on Amazon, but you're probably going to get what you pay for. So just throwing that out there. I did find another really good one. They have been back ordered for months, and I don't know if they're ever going to get them in. And the ones like this one cost roughly about $265. The other one I found was I think roughly $300. So you're looking at spending a few $100s for a good quality red light therapy. Now red light therapy cannot penetrate very deep into the body. Okay, so when we're doing red light therapy, you can't, I mean, it's great for aches and pains. Don't get me wrong. It can get in there and start getting those muscles loosened up. And they're safe to use at home. I mean, like you don't want to like shine it in your eye. Okay, like nobody wants to shine it in the eye. Be careful with things like that. Great for animals. I've worked a number of like dogs with red light therapy and with cold laser therapy. It works great. Especially we got the big ones with like the hip what is it, the hip displacements, or what is it called?
Dysplasia.
Hip dysplasia and things like that. Like I've seen really good success with red light therapy with that. Yeah, you don't use this on the thyroid. If you do, okay, you never do any kind of light therapy over the thyroid. There's just not enough studies to show if it's, going to do damage or not. But yeah, so something like this, I mean, like as you can see, I'm just going to shine it in there. They can be in like a mat that you can like wrap around you. They come in a lot of different things. Another one that you could do if you really want to invest the money is a cold laser therapy device. Now, there are certain cold lasers that you have to be licensed to use, okay? But you can get FDA for at-home use approved or whatever, and they come with they have like a diffuser on them. This has infrared, red, and violet light, so this can penetrate very deep into the body. These are more pricey though. I mean, you're going into the thousands at that point, okay? This is what Rosie and I use in here, is the cold laser therapy. And that is just the same thing. Like you can, oops, let me actually turn on. I mean, it's just a simple light. Doesn't do, this one's a little purpley. So these are some of the ways to help with joints. So let's say if you have a joint pain. Yeah, Melissa, I call it my magic wand. I own 2 of them. Rosie's still one of mine, so I'll just have one now. But the nice thing about that is when you're doing red light therapy with joints, like moving that joint, stretching that joint while the light is on it will make a big difference. Okay? Activating the muscle or the area will make a big difference. So just keep that in mind. If you do go and get a red light therapy device, that's great. And it helps with like opening up your joints. Like you can have somebody who, like that, they can only open their hand like this far, and you can do red light therapy and start getting like straight fingers, things like that.
And what does it do to the inflammation?
It actually calms the inflammation. That's all it does, is it just calms the inflammation. So if you still have a thing, let's say you have something like arthritis or something, you still haven't addressed the root cause, but you can at least get some relief and some pain relief. Neck and shoulder. I'm going to tell you right now, if you have neck issues or if you have a hump, you need to be coming and seeing this girl. I tell everybody, I'm like, she like pulls your neck out of your spine.
Yes, you get taller.
And I'm an inch taller than my husband. Although now he's seeing her and I'm actually noticing he's starting to catch up. But like, what else can they do for neck and shoulder?
Well, there's a couple stretches that you can do. So there's a couple that you can do. Like one, you have to put your shoulders flat, and then you try to hold your chin normal, just in the normal position you would, and then you try pushing your chin to the back, and then hold it for a couple seconds, and then let go.
And then take a selfie.
It's kind of hard.
And then take a selfie.
Basically, I know it's terrible because you get kind of a double chin, but you want to do the best double chin you can make. It sounds terrible, but it works. These muscles
does kind of stretch out, huh?
These muscles in the very back of the neck, it's really good for those ones. And I see a lot of people with those muscles that are just, I see ones with all their neck muscles are hijacked. But
those of you at home, have you tried it?
No, but just
that feels
hold
good.
it for 10 seconds or up to 20 if you can.
Wow.
Another one is you can just hold your head.
Here, do you need to scoot over so you can kind of be in the screen more?
Hold your head like this and look to the side, and then just stretch it. Just try to keep this shoulder down and just kind of stretch. And you can feel this muscle. It's a little
Where
bit
do you want
tighter.
your face? Is it kind of turned? Are you
Just
sniffing your
to
armpit?
No, that's the nose.
Okay.
No, you're basically just stretching that muscle right there.
Okay.
You're above.
Okay, I'm above this.
Because you're working. The other one's a different muscle. And then you'll just hold that one for 10, 15 seconds and then switch to the other side. And then try that. And you can feel it just stretch. You don't want to do too real painful, but just enough.
Okay.
The other one, which April was anxious because we remembered
She's
what
determined.
it's called. And you actually turn your head more and you grab the back of your neck. Like that bone back there, the occipital bone. You're going to put your fingers on that and you're actually going to pull down, but you're going to keep your shoulder back like that.
Okay, so like at the bottom of the dome?
Right here where your skull ends.
Okay, I hope you guys can see that. Here.
Where your skull ends right there,
Okay.
then you can feel there's a ledge, and you basically just put your hands there, and then you're just going to stretch just a little bit, and that gets these other ones that are in the middle. So you're getting the back ones, the middle one, and then, or the front ones, and then these middle.
We're going to call that the armpit sniffer.
That works, but you're just doing it on both sides.
All right, so stomach. I see a lot of stomach pain, like a lot of stomach pain. That we need to start work digestion, things like that, just so you know. Look at your foods, definitely right
Plus,
there.
I can pull up the stomach stuff.
Oh yeah, if you have, like, let's say you're getting a lot of heartburn and you believe you have like
Reflux.
what's called like a hiatal hernia, Rosie can pull it out. There's also some exercises you can do on YouTube and things like that. We also have home care instructions on our website on what you can do from home to release that without having to have surgery. So sciatic, or not sciatic, but hiatal hernias are pretty common. And sometimes I'll send a client to Rosie just to pull it down. And all that is when the stomach, you have a valve, that comes down into the stomach, and the stomach will start to come up through the valve. And you got to pull it back down. You got to release it and have it down. Yeah, it's really common. Typically you'll have like more acid reflux. And you can always tell if you go underneath where the rib cage curves, if you go under and push up. Now it's going to be tender regardless, okay? It's always going to be tender, but if it's like, ow, you might have the starting of a hiatal hernia or an actual one.
Or don't push on that little bum, because that's very painful, and you don't want to break it off.
So she takes her percussor and just like pops it out. She also moves your bladder and stuff too. So if you pee when you sneeze, just throwing that out there. Hip sciatic nerve pain. So her and I actually have two different ways that we work this. I'm going to let her kind of talk about this one, and then I'm going to give mine.
Yeah. Well, there's lots of things that can go wrong with your hips, obviously. Everyone knows that. But there's a lot that a lot of people have is where sometimes their hips don't stay in. They'll like come out whenever they decide. I suffered that for years, and that's why that's been one of my areas of focus. And then there's, the other things where they have injuries or, all the other things that play in, even having a broken tailbone at one point can factor into that. But a lot of times sciatic can actually, it can either be a hip problem or it can actually be like the nerve that goes down, and actually there's a pressure point on your foot, and I'll actually show you how to release that. And actually, just because I suffered with that a lot, and so playing house, I guess you'd say, I figured that one out. But there is, should I show the exercise right now?
Yeah, but I want to know this pressure point.
Oh.
Now you talked about this pressure point. I want to know that one first.
All right, put your foot out. Okay.
Do we need to face the screen?
You're fine. Just try to put your leg as straight as you can. Okay. Now curl your toes up toward your head.
So back?
Yep. Tell me when I hit the tender spot.
Right there.
Okay. So it hurts pretty good if you just push it, but I usually put the percussor and just work this, and she'll start to feel it go clear up her leg.
I can feel, but I don't have like sciatic pain.
Yeah.
So okay.
No, but generally, if they do, they don't like you to touch this at all, because it's like, oh my word.
Can we show the people? No, like on the screen.
It's just you have to find it. You can actually feel it, and you'll find it. It's in the arch.
I felt it.
And you actually
right there.
Yeah. See, you can feel it, and it's like you can get one thing if you don't want to push it yourself because it's hard. You can get like a little what are they called? Tennis balls. And you can like roll your foot on it,
but you have to keep your legs straight and your
you
toes
don't have
curled
to.
back.
Yeah, it's better if it's really intense to curl your toes up. But if it's not real bad, you can just relax and just roll your foot on it.
Oh, how fascinating! I'm gonna be messing with everybody's feet now. Okay, so now show the stretches.
Okay, so you're gonna be the guinea pig.
Oh, I'm not guinea pig. Oh yeah. Okay.
So it's what I call push and pull. We can't see it.
we're gonna drop you guys down. Oops, wrong one. That one's up all the way. That good? Down more?
Maybe time.
Can we just tilt it?
Yeah, if you would.
Just tilt.
You have to let me know what's good though.
Well, here, you just come and look and see. Okay.
No. Okay, right there.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna put my hands right here, and you can get a ball, you can use a chair, whatever. Can you guys see? All right. So I'm gonna pull out, and she's going to pull in.
Okay.
Okay. Ready? Oh, she's tough.
Well, you have me do these for how long?
I know. I'm glad you've been doing them. And then the other one is I'll put my hands on the outside, and she's gonna pull out. So right here. She's not as strong there. And those are just two of them.
All right.
Now, if your
Is that
hip,
good?
yeah, you can give up. If your hip is like dislocated or not in, do not do the last two I showed you, because that will actually, you need to make sure your hip or leg is in before. I mean, there's things that I've done to get those to come in. You don't want to try putting pressure on something that also now it's going to be mad because there's a problem. If that makes sense.
Cool. How cool. I learned something major. Like I'm going to be messing with everybody's foot. I'm going to be like, does that hurt? So that's it, what you got for sciatic and hip? All right, so I look at it from a very different perspective. When I see hip pain, especially when the hips start popping out, we look at liver and kidney. When I'm going to the chiropractor because my hip keeps falling out, I usually do a liver cleanse, and my structurals will actually hold once I can clean out the liver. So usually if the liver's on fire, if it's under stress, it's because everything correlates with everything. I mean, like there's so many different pieces of your body that just correlate all together, and this is just one of those things. So with like the hips, like I said, I usually typically look at liver and kidney. Now, if it's sciatic pain, I start looking at mineral deficiencies. What happens is we typically have like a heavy metal toxicity. And when we have a heavy metal toxicity, it means we're deficient in minerals. So the body is hanging on to any minerals that it can find, which are the bad ones. And so when we flood the body with good minerals, then it'll start to release some of those bad. And so that's how we look at it from to relieve that pain in my side. But see how there's so many different approaches that you can do to these, and if you did have, like, you were in an accident, like there's actual damage and like bone damage and things like that, like, more than likely, you're not gonna, like a chemical toxicity, it's not gonna help all that much, or, things like that. So really looking at the big picture. So we have Tanya asking about nerve or knee pain. So that's basically, I don't know if you caught at the beginning when we were talking about joints. But also when we're dealing, like when I'm dealing specifically with knee pain, is I look at how much gravity pressure are we receiving on the knees too. Like, do we need to maybe do some redistribution of weight, or, something along those lines in the body. Also, like, what kind of shoes are you wearing? Like, that's going to be a big deal. If you're like waiting tables all day and you're wearing really bad shoes, like your knees are really going to take the brunt of it. But also just doing like the stuff we talked about earlier for joint pain would also be really good for that. You have anything else to add for knee?
No, just the typical with all the joints. It's the same.
Okay. So we got migraines, headaches, which we have a class already all on that, so we're not going to retouch on that. If you want to learn more, just go to livingwithelevation.com/resources, and it is on there. And then tailbone. I didn't know, when Rosie and I were talking about this, and she was like, I really regularly see tailbone issues, and I was like, really? How common is tailbone?
How many times have you fallen off something and you're like, that hurts so bad? I've done it.
So
I know I broke mine when I was 12. Falling out of a tree.
Do you have
about
anything,
10 feet.
Do you have anything that you use, like, or that?
I get just the percussor. I'll actually find the end of the tailbone and assess where it is or what the problem is, and then
Like realign it, or?
I'll just it depends. If the end is actually broken off, you can tell, or if sometimes it's twisted, and you just kind of push it up and it depends. Every time's so different.
So like
But-
maybe seeing somebody like you or like a chiropractor or something along those lines to get it tweaked back out.
Yeah, well, that's basically usually because the end of your tailbone, the coccyx bone, is like this. It's like curved like this. So if you can imagine, if it's displaced and it's like digging in somewhere, it's gonna hurt. And it's moved, it's sideways, it's digging in, it's gonna hurt. So basically, what I do is, for the most part, is pull it up, and who knows, maybe we'll evolve till we don't have them because everybody seems to break them off.
Wasn't that our tail?
Kind of. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Like I haven't done that
Who
much.
knows?
Like, all right. So those were like some of the most common pains that we were seeing. Now we're just gonna kind of talk about like, cause you know I get asked a lot like, what are some oils for pain? What are herbs for pain? You know, like all those things. So I just thought I would throw out. Now, you can do like a Google search. You're gonna find a million different things, and everybody says something different. So you just always use your own discernment. You know, and you know, and sometimes we don't have all the things. Sometimes we only have like 2 of the things at the house. So try them, okay? So one of the top things that I typically recommend to people, and Rosie does too, is detox baths. A very simple detox bath for you to do specific to pain is 2 pounds of Epsom salt. And I mean 2 pounds. We don't use enough Epsom salt. 2 pounds. You're going to do a cup of baking soda. This is going to try to neutralize pH also, which is why we put the 2 of them together for those that took the pH class. We're going to try to neutralize pH. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take a cup of hot water. We're going to do a tablespoon of ginger spice. You know, just go to the store, get you some ginger, mix it in with the hot water and pour that in the bath. You don't want to sit in there for more than 30 minutes. That's a good pain reliever. Ginger is a very hot herb and it will really help release pain. Other hot herbs, I know Rosie recommends cayenne all the time, so we carry a cayenne heat ointment here. You know, if you want to just mix some cayenne, I don't know how that works.
I would not put it in the bathtub.
Yeah.
Those would not, it would be a bit cold.
And if you use it, remember, wash your hands.
Oh, well, it takes a while to wear off your hands, too.
I know.
Don't touch your eyes. Wear gloves.
I don't wear gloves when I do the cayenne heat, though, so it's not as hot.
As long as you don't try putting your contacts in or anything like that for at least a half hour.
Mine pop back out after a massage your tailbone, I'm assuming.
Yeah, it depends how long the treatments will last. Depends on the healing you've done on your body and how long it's been out. So if it's been out for years and you come once, sometimes it'll stay a day. Sometimes you can make it a day. Sometimes it's only a couple hours until we retrain it to remember that it's got to hold that position. Because it's just like, you know, with everything, when I lift people's bladder and they're like, I haven't seen any difference. And I'm like, how long's it been down there?
I do want to say this as we're talking tailbone, so I'm going to go a little unorthodox here for you too, just because Rosie and I share a mutual client who has this issue. The tailbone, by the way, is tied to perfectionism. So if you're having a hard time with your tailbone, maybe you need to take a nice self-reflection and work on those things. Because the more that we worked on that with her, between the 2 of us, like the better her tailbone started to get. So just throwing that out there. I know for some people that concept is very, very broad, but you know, there is an emotional component to everything that we experience.
The whole person.
Yeah.
Emotions are part of it.
But like as she's talking about, I'm going to go back to here. So like as she's talking about, we have cayenne heat rub here. Now, Rosie actually asked me to start carrying this, and it's also called Complete Tissue and Bone. I'm going to talk about this in just a second. Because she's had success for how many years? 18 years?
I've had it since I was 18, so
Okay, so
I'm really old now, so it's longer than that.
5 years, because she's only 23, okay? So, but she's been using these for that long, so she knows that they work well, and she's seen a lot of success. I've even put some of my clients on this. So one of the things that they recommend is you do the Complete Tissue and Bone ointment, and then you put the cayenne ointment on it to drive that in, and it heats all that up. I noticed a big difference once Rosie was telling me that, which I'm kind of speaking for you. I hope you don't mind.
No, you're fine.
But this complete tissue and bone chew. So I'm going to share with you one of the pains that I had. Hold on. I feel and hooked it in. It was out about 3 weeks. Been good for years. No issues. Michelle, you need to come in here and meet Rosie anyway, so you ladies can talk. Michelle Seaton is one of our massage therapists, and she's a Gestalt coach here in town. So I was getting progressive work done by Rosie one day. I had been up in the mountains. It was the middle of winter. I fell through the snow, and I hit my shin on a picnic table that was underneath the snow. And I came in, and she started working on me, and she hit my knee, and all of a sudden I was like, ah! And so she stopped and went down to the bottom of my foot, turned it back on real quick and said, does that hurt? And then she started feeling my legs, and she goes, I think you fractured whatever, femur, fibula. We all know that I don't know. I just know what bones do. That's what I know.
She just had a definite line just above on the outside of her leg.
So right away, she's like, hey, you might want to get that looked at. And we all know me. I'm in a bug society. What can I do? And she goes, start taking some complete tissue and bone. And I mean, by God, it actually worked. I'm not recommending that you handle your own breaks this way and fractures. I'm just stubborn. But this is how good this product is. You know, I mean, like, it's actually pretty. It took me about, 6 weeks, I think.
With arthritis.
Oh, yeah, like, so, I mean, like, she
works
puts
really good.
any aches
and then this heals it, and this one takes the pain away.
So the bone and tissue heals the muscles.
Well, it doesn't heal it. It just gives it the proper nutrients
supports
that
it.
it needs.
And then she said the cayenne heats it up. So my husband likes this too. If he works out really hard or something, like, it doesn't have to be just for like chronic pain. It can be just.
My daughter, when she has a headache, she'll put it right here on the sides of her face.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, like, it's good stuff.
As long as you don't get it in your eyes.
Now, I'm going to say, because anyone who knows me knows I preach about this. We live in a planet that has gravity. So here's the thing that we should be doing on a very regular basis. Michelle will also go with this, is regular chiropractic. And I mean, like, at least once a quarter, and regular massage. Like, we have gravity.
Self-care.
Yeah, and like, I mean, gravity's going to whack just everything out of whack. We don't sit right. We don't walk right all the time, things like that. So regular massage, regular chiropractic should be on your list, even when you're not in pain. Sometimes if you wait until you're in pain, it's much harder. And if they're telling you, like, if the chiropractor's saying, like, I need to see you once a week or once every 2 weeks for a while, just trust that they have expertise. You know, they know what they're doing. Same with your massage therapist. Your massage therapist saying, I need to see you once a week for a while, you should probably be coming in once a week. They can temporarily take away the pain, but if they're working on something that's very chronic, you're not going to get rid of it in one session. So just know that.
It didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It's hard to fix overnight.
But those are big for any pain. I mean, anything. Migraines, joint pain. What else do we... Neck and shoulder pain, hip sciatic. I mean, all those pains definitely. Yeah, Michelle's like, absolutely.
Think of it as like your car. If you were going to go on a trip, you probably would get your car serviced.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm all about it. I believe a chiropractor quarterly, 100%. Just go in, get cracked. You know, be happy. Same massage. I don't know the recommendations on that because, you know.
I won't do it more often than 5 days.
All right. So some other things. So like, turmeric milk. This is one that I don't pull out of my arsenal very often, and I just wanted to really talk about this. So there's lots of different recipes online. You can type in turmeric milk, but it's a great pain drink. Okay. So a lot of them have milk in their recipes. I'm recommending you don't use a dairy. A lot of people actually have pain from dairy, so why put an inflammatory food into an anti-inflammatory drink? So I would do something like coconut milk, almond milk, sugar-free. You always want to go sugar-free because if you're trying to reduce inflammation, sugar is a huge inflammatory food. Also, you're going to add black pepper. You can add turmeric, like the spiced turmeric, cinnamon, and then if you need to sweeten it up, you can use like some local honey or some maple syrup, real maple syrup. So that's like just kind of a fancy drink. So if you want to just like Google like a turmeric milk, I actually think it tastes gross. I drink it when I've had to. I know people that love this stuff, like love this stuff. We all know my taste is much different than everybody else's. So that's one thing that I wanted to talk about. I don't have this on my list. I wanted to talk about this. As we're going into foods, let's talk about this. There's a types of food called nightshades. And if you are dealing with chronic inflammation, these are foods that you want to avoid because they will create more inflammation in the body. So if you're dealing with anything like a headache, knee pain, anything like that, when you're eating these foods, you're actually going to increase your inflammation in the body. Okay. So the number one most common one, sugar, white refined sugar, right? I'm not talking cane sugar. I'm not talking honey. I'm talking white refined sugar that's in everything because they're feeding our addiction. Another really good one is white potatoes or like red potatoes. Sweet potatoes are a completely different family. They are not in the nightshades, but all other potatoes are considered a nightshade. Tomatoes are both. Okay, so they have inflammatory compounds and they have anti-inflammatory compounds. So depending on your genetic makeup, we don't know how you're going to respond to this. So I would just eliminate it, see, and then you can reintroduce it later. And if it, pops up, then it's probably a nightshade for you. Eggplant is another nightshade. Peppers are nightshades, which I had a hard time wrapping my mind around that because in Chinese medicine, heat relieves pain, which is why they use a lot of like ginger, garlic, things like that, hot, but peppers can be very inflammatory on the body. So, and I'm not saying that just because you have chronic pain, you can't ever have peppers, but you just need to pay attention to your body and how it's responding. So I did want to kind of talk to you guys about foods a little. So another thing, so like essential oils, everybody's all very into essential oils now. Most people have like at least some basics. If you have gotten these for dirt cheap at a local retailer, I don't want you using these for pain. They're garbage. They're more likely synthetic. You might get a little bit of relief, but the cost down the road from it, it's just not worth it. So making sure you're getting a high quality. Here in the office, we use doTERRA. There are other brands out there. If anyone wants other recommendations, I can give you recommendations for other brands that you can use. But things like frankincense. Frankincense is one of the top anti-inflammatory essential oils. And it also mixes well with anything else. So if you're working pain, and let's say you're using a turmeric oil, because we all know turmeric, right? You can add frankincense in with it, and it will actually enhance the turmeric and make it better. Copaiba, a lot of people do CBD. I don't promote CBD because I can't. So you do what you need, is what I'm saying. CBD, though, is promoted as a cure-all for everything. It is not. It is a symptom manager in most cases, okay, unless you're dealing with like neurological. It can actually have a lot of really good benefits for neurological. But if you're using it for pain, you're using it for symptom management. So always addressing the root cause. If you have to be on it for life to not be in pain, you're not addressing the root cause, okay? That's kind of the rule of thumb. If you have to be on it for life, you're not addressing it. So other things, wintergreen, and then the one, I can't believe I didn't have this. Rosie had to be like, peppermint. Couldn't believe I didn't have that one. Now, I personally, when I'm dealing with pain and oils, and most companies have these, is there's blends where they take synergistic blends of different pain relievers, right? Pain relieving oils, and mix it together. You're always going to have the best results with a blend. So, like with doTERRA, we have things like Deep Blue, Past Tense. Young Living was what, Panaway and Deep Relief, or something like that. So there's usually, most companies have like blends, and you're always going to do best with a blend. Okay, but if you don't have that, if you just happen to have frankincense, use frankincense. Some herbs A big one that I like to use is enzymes. Okay, the most common one and the easiest one to find is bromelain. Comes from pineapples. If I have somebody who is dealing with a lot of inflammation in the lungs, I will put them on bromelain on an empty stomach to try to pull the inflammation from the lungs, like large quantities. By large, I'm talking like 9 to 12 a day. Okay. But bromelain is a really good one to take on an empty stomach for pain relief. It's fairly simple to find. I don't carry any in my office. I do have other enzymes that will do the trick, but I don't carry just straight bromelain. You can get it on our online dispensary, our full script dispensary. You can get high quality, so you don't have to worry about is it actually good or is it actually garbage. You know, whereas like when we play the Amazon game, you don't know what you're getting. So other things like white willow bark, that's a big one. That's nature's aspirin, right? Most people know that. Boswellia, which is a part of the frankincense plant, that's used in a lot of, and like things like turmeric, ginger, like that we talked about, the oils, even the herbs have those same compounds. So you're going to get a lot of relief. Devil's Claw is a good one. Here in the office, like I typically will recommend, it's called Relief Plus by Herbal Perfect. And it has, it's just a synergistic blend of herbs for pain reliever, you know. And they've reformulated it and added turmeric to it, so I'm really excited about that. Like, well, they did a while back ago, but it was a game changer.
One thing we didn't put on there, it's actually in the complete bone and tissue one, but it comfrey. If you like have a sprain or something,
Okay.
it helps. For the pain, you can actually take a crushed, like a bruised comfrey leaf and like wrap it up with Saran wrap.
And
it
she
helps
says it's
with
in the
pain.
bone and tissue.
Yeah, it's the same, part of the same ingredients that are in that, but it's hard to just find a comfrey plant growing freely, but it does. I grew up with my parents doing that.
Yeah, and you have to be really careful with comfrey.
You don't want to eat it.
Yeah, like it's very, you really want to make sure
Yeah,
that
it's
it's not
careful.
getting ingested and stuff like that. Same with your oils too. So I know a lot of oil pushers out there push taking pills of oils, essential oils to relieve pain. You can have actually probably better results using it topically with like a carrier oil. Just to share, save you some money too. You know. Any other questions? Anyone got any? Anyone online? All right, well, if you guys have any questions, Rosie and I will pop in online and answer your questions for you. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Super excited about this one, even though we just literally threw it together like 10 minutes before class. Welcome to how I roll. All right, well, everyone have a beautiful evening.